Happy Wednesday. I had to dig deep for that one. Happy Wednesday, Captain Coder here. Back with with day 8. We're on 8 days in a row on this. I think, not 8, maybe not in a row. 8 days though. This is the 8th day we've been working on our space shooter. That's not what's on my screen right now. This is another project I'm working on for my students. Let's get our space raiders open here. Close out some of this. Yeah, so this is your first time joining in. We are working on a 2D space shooter, shoot 'em up style game. Made a lot of progress. The goal here, so why am I doing this? I am teaching an intro to Unity course in the spring term, or I guess it's called the winter term. The spring term is the one that comes next. The winter term, so starting on January 9th, I'll be teaching an intro to Unity class to my middle school students. So these are ages 11 through 13 and maybe one 14-year-old in there. So 11, 12, 13. And I want to, one of the projects I want them to learn about using the update method and controlling 2D space stuff, but my goal is to teach good practices. And I'm not the best Unity programmer, but I have a lot of programming experience. And one of the things that typically drives me nuts when I look at Unity projects and Unity code, and I've had students in the past do Unity projects, all of these, there's so many bad practices that it's so easy to do bad practice. Not necessarily that I think Unity encourages bad practice. I think that it's so easy to have bad practices. And so one of my goals here is to build a little prototype and then try and massage and figure out how am I going to teach this in a way that a beginner can do it. This is going to be the second project, I think. How can a beginner do it? How do we manage the complexity? As a programmer, we always want to ask ourselves, is this too complex? How do I manage this complexity? How do I break it down and be as simple as possible so that way I can keep it all in my head and understand what's going on and reason about it? All right. So that's what we're trying to do. And I'm basically relearning Unity. Not that I ever was great or a master at anything like that, but I'm relearning Unity a bit as I go. And I feel like I've leveled up so much here. We have an almost... You could potentially even call this a game, right? So it's almost a real game. I think all that's left is really to add some polish to it. So today I'm going to try and get this finished in a state where I'm happy with it, with the polish wise. And then I'm going on vacation. So I'm going on vacation. I'll be out for a couple days, about a week, 5 days, something like that. Thursday through Monday. So I'll be back next Tuesday. So yes, essentially 6 days without no streaming for me for that time. But yeah, we're working on our space game. Let's see what we have so far. So if we take a look here, we've added in yesterday, we added in this nice little menu. We added in some explosions, sound effects, but we have this menu so we can adjust the sound. We did it the quote unquote correct way, where we have it hooked up to our audio mixers, right? So it actually controls the volume on our mixers, not just in our specific scene, specific thing. It goes all the way into our mixer there, yeah, which is great. What am I doing here? Yeah, okay. So we added this in. We learned how to do the mixer last time, but we have a little game here. You can fly around, shoot some ships, but it's not particularly interesting. I want to add in some better enemies. I want to add in, what do I want to do today? So I'm trying to think what I'm going to try and get done today. I think it would be nice, let's close that. So the enemies just sort of stop. Right now it just said we have 3 enemies. It'd be pretty nice to have almost essential to this type of game, to have enemies continue coming and make them a little bit more interesting, right? So we need enemies that fly sort of through you all the way down to the bottom of the screen. We have a couple more enemy threats, but we're gonna work on adding additional enemy types here. as well as part of me wants to add a little shield meter. It tells you how much shield you have, but we won't worry about that yet. We won't worry about that yet. Odin game, happy thank you for the follow, and happy Wednesday, my friend. Welcome aboard. So, but yeah, here we are. Let me do a sign on real quick. So I'm over on my Discord channel. We're gonna sign on, do a part of our stand-up, sort of set the premise of what we want to accomplish today. This is always a good thing to do. You just go in blindly. It's hard to evaluate, was I successful? And I'm not always successful, but we are gonna do a sign on here. Last time accomplished, last time added sound effects, plus explosions, plus music, and slash audio control panel. All right, so last time that's what we did. This time, today, what do we want to get done today? I sort of want to, I want to be concrete, but maybe have a bonus thing in there as well. I think it's Suda is Gaming, or Pseudo is Gaming. Thank you for the follow. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. Happy Wednesday. So our goals today, add, I want to sort of like refactor enemy spawner. Have additional enemies. All right, so I want to have additional enemies slash waves. So the idea is I have, it starts out easy, and as you go, you get more and more waves. So it's going to build up as we go forward. Okay, so I'm going to start with refactoring. There, have enemy spawner, have additional enemies and waves. Bonus. All right, so that I think is going to be a lot of work. I'm not 100% sure though, but bonus. Add in weapon power up, so you get a better weapon, and double bonus. We have a different bonus. We finished that. The double bonus. What was I saying here? There was something else I was saying. Oh yeah. Shield, add shield meter to show how much shield is available. All right, so that's sort of our goals today. Get enemy spawner and have additional enemies slash waves, so actually like a full game at that point. Add in, and then if we can get there, start adding in additional power-ups. All right, so that's our goal for today. Let's see if we can, see what we can do, see what we can make happen today. But yeah, so let's take a look at our enemy spawner, what we have so far. So if I come over, my scripts are getting a little bit unwieldy. But let's look at our enemy spawner. All right, so our enemy spawner. And I discovered and I've learned as I've gone here, my enemy spawner, I have some refactoring. I can absolutely do some good refactoring on this. But the main idea, I did already do that. Okay, the main idea, with our enemy spawner is we have this sort of enemy queue. So we have a list of enemies that are going to spawn, and every 3 seconds, in this case, we have a spawn rate, where we're going to set our spawn rate. So this is the enemies are going to be spawning in to the world every, so I discovered this invoke repeating method, which allows us to sort of, rather than putting stuff in our update method, Sudai, let me know if I'm pronouncing it. Suda is Gaming. I would love that. I actually don't know what that means, but I'm assuming that's a good thing. But yeah, happy Wednesday, my friend. I'm so new to the streaming thing. I'm not, all these terms, raid, I didn't know what a raid was. I don't really know all that much, but yeah. I'd be interested in what that means and does. But yeah, let me know. Let's see here. Let's squeeze this over here so we can get everything on the screen. Yeah, invoke repeating. This was something I wasn't sure what to do with. Invoke repeating. G Fazo. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. But happy Wednesday, my friend. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. You're welcome to lurk. You're welcome to chat. Happy to have you here. We are trying to make our enemy spawner better. Right now, we don't have anything particularly in. Cool. I'll have to look into what that means. I don't know what that means, but I appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying what's going on. And yeah, if you feel free to send people this way. My goal is always to be as letting people watch me learn. So I never claim to be amazing at Unity, game development, or anything really, but my goal is to learn, grow, and then if other people learn and grow from that, that's even better. Yeah. So, yeah. So we have this spawn. Enemy spawners in charge of spawning our enemies to the screen, which makes sense. So we have this idea of an enemy ship sort of uses this template. All right, so we have enemy ship, comes with a template, waypoint, so this is where the ship's gonna fly, and then a spawn point. Okay. Zaid, it is early, man. Wake up and code. That's what I say. I get up early. It's 5 a.m. here in beautiful Arizona. But happy to have you here this morning. Okay, so I want to make a couple more interesting enemies. So right now it just sort of spawns 3. I need this idea of like, trying to think what I want to do here. But I need sort of like enemy spawner has an enemy queue, so the enemy is going to spawn. But you might have like this idea of a wave, right? So different types of enemies. Let's see if we can get a couple different types of enemies on here. So I'm going to add in a couple more waypoints. So we have waypoints on our screen here. Right now we just have the 3 A, B, and C. It might be nice to add in a couple more waypoints so we can sort of have ships that do more interesting flight paths, right? So let's do that. So it'd be nice to have some ships that just sort of fly straight down. So like they'll go to A and then they'll fly down to the bottom of the screen. So we're gonna make some more flight paths here. So we'll call this one D, and I'm gonna move it down here. So it's gonna fly off the screen and get destroyed. Yeah, the idea is this would be sort of like a mobile game. And so like that was sort of a thought I had. It'd be a mobile game, and so the screen size would be that way. And the idea is like you'd lean your ship left and right to fly, and then you tap the screen to fire. That was sort of the idea. But you know, not really a mobile game because I'm yeah, that's sort of the thought I had in my head. GG. All right, so we're gonna add in a couple waypoints here. We'll put this in at 2.4, so it's symmetric, because my brain can only handle symmetry. All right. I think I need to add in some, let's see. To add in some enemy. I need like an enemy template type object or something, so that it's easier to make these things. Because if I make them prefabs, they don't really know about these. Or I can make these sort of mapped into, ooh, maybe I do that. Okay, so let's try this. We're gonna try making an enemy. So we have enemy ship controller. I kind of want like an enemy ship template or a waypoint. Trying to decide. So I need an easy way to build these. I need like a wave manager. Let me think here. Can make a So right now it's all sort of in the game controller, and that is not particularly useful. So I have all this logic for how to spawn my enemies here in my game controller, and really this needs to be in like a wave manager or something along those lines. So I think I want this idea of a wave manager, and it's going to manage my enemy, how the enemies spawn. Although my enemy spawner might handle that. My list of waypoints. Yeah, I think I need to have my enemy spawner have my list of waypoints, and then it'll have like this idea of a. But currently they're fixed. That's what I'm going for, Zaid. I want to make it random. Right now they're fixed, and so I'm like trying to noodle around with the idea of like, how do I make this nice and random? So currently it spawns 3 enemies. So if I were to insert a coin and try to avoid this, so it's going to spawn 3 enemies, and there's sort of 3 waypoints, and they sort of fly around. They have different flight paths, but these are the 3 enemies that are not random at all, right? So my goal here is, how can I make a random, I want to add in sort of random flight paths. So I have like these different waypoints, and the way the enemy is set up right now, do I have an enemy prefab? Yeah. So my enemy ship, the way it works, I don't think I'm going to add bosses for this. I think it would be good. I don't think it would be actually that hard to add a quote-unquote boss, but I don't think I'm going to add them in for this particular project. So I'm going to try and finish sort of this prototype today, and then I'm going on vacation starting tomorrow, so I'm going to be gone for a couple days. But vacation for me, I can't help but work. My plan is during that time is to sort of do a write-up on creating an actual project for my students. So taking this prototype and massaging it down and sort of like its essence of how, you know, of the different components, and have different tutorials for different components and have students build it up. So I'll give the basic idea of like how to make an enemy spawner, and then give students the freedom to sort of make them what they want and see what they come up with. Which will almost certainly result in certain bosses and stuff being added, depending on the student. But yeah, right now I have an enemy ship controller, and the way it works is the enemy ship has a set of waypoints, and it sort of will just fly between those. Exactly, Moonray. So the idea is like a boss would probably just be a tougher enemy that has harder things to defeat. So it wouldn't necessarily be like a boss, but it might be cool to have like a scene you go into that's like a little bit different. Yeah. For now, let's see if we can just get a sort of spawner in here. I kind of want to have, yeah, I think I want to have like sort of a wave. I'm debating in my mind here exactly what I want to do. And part of the, you know, I'm trying not to just hack stuff together. I'm trying to be methodical about what I'm doing, which doesn't always go well, but that's sort of the attempt I'm making. I am noticing one little thing here. This set should be probably private, or have some bounds on it saying that, well, you can't set it to negative, that sort of thing. But in our enemy spawner here, we can in-queue enemies. So I think I want to make a thing sort of called like a create, oops, wrong button. Create here, enemy wave controller. So the idea here is this is going to manage the enemies that show up, and sort of this can like change the difficulty. So as you defeat more enemies, the difficulty is going to sort of increase, and so there'll be like tiers of enemies that can spawn in. So enemy wave controller. public int wave get private set. So it's going to tell us what wave we're on. We start on wave 1. We're going to need an event on this that is sort of on wave start. So public. And it needs a way to know when the wave has sort of ended as well. Let's think here. Oh, we want to make this a serialized field so we can sort of observe it in the editor. We need, going to sort of still this a little bit, but the idea is you have like tiers of enemies. So I'm going to start out and saying sort of a public list. And part of me wants to make it a dictionary. But we'll start with a list here just to see how my brain can handle it. And the idea is this will have our enemy ships, but I want them to be sort of concrete. So it's going to be a list of enemy. These are the templates that I want. Part of me wants to make it an enemy ship, but then I won't be able to see it in the editor. These are sort of our possible enemies. And this will be private. We don't want people to edit that outside of here. But we should be able to see it this way. So let me come in here and add in an object just so I can get an idea of what's going on here. So lists are not just arrays. They're in a lot of languages, they're what would be called array lists. So it's backed by an array, but it's resizable. So in most program, a traditional array, you have to tell how big it is. Array list is sort of a dynamically resizing array. So not quite wave controller. Okay. Put that at 0, 0, 0. And it needs to have the spawner that it's going to utilize. So this is where I'm a little bit like, maybe I don't, serialize field, private enemy spawner. That Suda, I don't think I think I might have met the requirements to be an affiliate, but I don't know that I'm gonna actually become an affiliate. It wasn't ever my goal to really, maybe if things got huge and I blew up somehow, but I'm not doing this necessarily to, I don't know, maybe. My response to your question is I don't exactly know what it means to be an affiliate. I'd have to look into a little bit more. Not a fan of like ads playing on videos and stuff, so I might, if it's gonna force ads to be on my videos, I probably won't become an affiliate if I have the option. I want my stuff to be as accessible as possible. My spawner is up here. Yeah, you're not the first person to ask me, so I don't really know if I am. I don't think so. My average viewer rate is not 3. So you need like an average of 3 viewers per stream or something like that to actually be an affiliate. And so if you look at recently, yes, I made it, but my when I was streaming at the beginning of December, I only had like 1 or 2 people for a lot of those streams. Let's see, wave controller, wave 1. Yeah, so this doesn't show up. So I sort of need like a concrete enemy type. All right, so I have enemy ship. Okay, so enemy ship is a concrete. Here we go. So instead of enemy ship, I'm gonna make these concrete enemy ships. And then I learned that we can get these to show up. So this was what I was struggling with back several days ago. I couldn't get these to appear because I didn't know how. Field, private set. And we can actually make this private. Oh, but I want to be able to get that. Okay. Get private set. Private set. Like that. So now I think if I didn't break everything, this will continue to work. Okay. Here we go. When you say trying this out, Suda, what do you mean? I don't quite understand when you say trying this out, what exactly you're referring to. So we should be able to add in possible enemies here. So the idea, let's go over to my prefabs. So I could add in an enemy ship here. Set the spawn point. I think I want my spawn point to actually be, rather be in a vector, make it a transform so I can drag those in. Trying to build the game to the viewers. Interesting. Transform. Make this a transform, which forces me to come here and change this one. And that's going to cause errors to show up wherever I'm using that. Just probably... Let's get the errors to show up. Enemy ship, spawn point. This should take in a transform. And then this one was an enemy ship. All right, so this slowly got to go through and fix these. Enemy dot position. Oh, enemy dot spawn point dot position. And enemy dot spawn point dot. This whole thing's gonna go away here in a moment. Enemy spawn point. I don't. There we go. I can just do that now. Okay, that seems to have fixed that. So my wave controller now, I can sort of build these in enemy ship like that, spawn point, and we just have all our enemies sort of spawning in the same spot. Mike over on YouTube, happy Wednesday. Mike's my dad. Anyone who is curious. Love that he always checks in on me streaming. I think it's beautiful. All right, so in our wave controller, we're gonna set our spawn point there. Okay, so the idea is I have possible enemies. This is a ship of possible enemies, and I think what I want to do is have like a difficulty rating on my enemies. So this will allow me to specify if I'm in a specific wave, only select enemies that have, you know, a difficulty rating within some range. So I'm going to add in a field here that will be public int wave difficulty. And we'll have this be 1 by default. Right, and so now we can specify the difficulty of these, and the idea is we'll go through our list, we'll find all the ones that are sort of within range of the difficulty, and then we'll spawn those ones in. Alvi Doodle, let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. Welcome aboard. Thank you for the follow. Happy Wednesday, my friend. So nice to have you here with us trying to noodle our way through this challenge. So whenever we spawn an enemy, we sort of want to register it. So we need to know when all the enemies have been destroyed. We will know, noodle the difficulty. When enemies get destroyed, we sort of need to know. So we have to have like know when what am I trying to say? We sort of need to know when the wave has finished and when we can progress to the next one. So we're going to add in a couple events here too. So we'll have a Unity event. I don't think this one needs to take in any arguments. It's just sort of going to notify that, hey, the wave has ended. Although it might be nice to say, oh, here are the list of enemies that were destroyed, so you could have like some sort of tabulation. But we're not going to do that right now. Unity event on wave completed. Okay. And of course, we'll do the following. We'll make this a field, serialized field, so we can sort of register on that. Ooh, we want to be able to get that, so we'll make it public with a private set. So we want to be able to access that and register ourselves on that event. Import that in. So we have on wave complete. We're also going to do an on wave start, I think. On wave start. So we can sort of register events if we want to on those two, register actions on those two events. And this one, oh, actually, let's make this taken an int. It'll tell us which wave we just completed and which wave we are starting. So we can say like wave 1, we'll have a little thing show up on the screen. Okay, and so let's do a little thing here where we sort of, let's think here. So a really dumb incremental thing is we'll say, okay, well, we'll do 3 enemy ships times the wave number, and that's how many ships will spawn. All right, so we'll do a public void. Might even make this private. Private void start wave. Maybe I'll make it public. I'm not 100% sure. The idea here is we're gonna generate enemy ships, add them to our queue, and the number of enemy ships we're going to generate is based on our wave. And so the possible enemies, what we're going to do is we're going to say possible, and we'll use link here. Oh, maybe we won't use link. I would normally use link, but for my students, keep it simple. We're going to write a little filter method. We only want enemies that that are less than or equal to our current wave. All right, so we'll do a private list enemy ship, and then we're gonna filter enemies, and we'll have this take in an int max wave number. All right, and so the idea is we're gonna loop through and only save enemies that we want. So we're doing this in a kind of silly way. Isn't the best way to do this. Enemies. It's just, this is a nice little, this will be a nice exercise for my students, where you're writing a filter, and then I'll show them, oh, and if you can do it this other way. There's some requirements on the AP exam. My students aren't taking the AP exam, but one of my friends teaching an AP class, and he's planning on using some of these. One of the requirements for the AP exam is to have methods that, you have to have a function or a method that meets specific requirements. So we're gonna go through each enemy ship E in our possible enemies. All right, so we go through all of our possible enemies. We're gonna say if E dot wave difficulty is less than or equal to max wave, then we're gonna keep that that enemy. So we'll do enemies dot add E. All right. So this would meet. So you in the AP exam comp sci principles, you have to have a method that accept, or a function that accepts a parameter, has a loop, and has an if statement that is dependent on your input. Right. So this sort of hits all of those things, and you have to explain how it works and why it works that way. And so this is sort of meets that requirement. So it's nice to write method like this. You could also use link. So if we used link, it'd actually be a lot shorter. So an equivalent would be, let's do it real quick just to show it. Private list enemy ship. In fact, if I wanted to do it without this function, I would just say possible enemies dot where. Could just do a where here, and I'd say e goes to e dot wave difficulty less than equal to max wave, and I'd actually do current wave, and then two lists. So you could do this using the link library like this, which is pretty nice compared to this. But early on students, it's really good to have them write this to understand, okay, well, this thing under the hood, this where is actually has like a loop inside of it. And that's how we iterate over things. And this is a special type of filter type thing. Not necessarily appropriate for the class that I'm, the level of student that I'm targeting. So we're going to go with this one here. All right, long rambling talk there. So we're gonna filter our enemies on our current wave. Okay, so we're gonna get our list of enemy ship enemies. So we're gonna filter our possible enemies down to just the ones that we can add, and then we're gonna spawn int to amount. We're gonna spawn 3 times our wave. All right, so this is the number of enemies that are going to be in a wave. Kind of dumb right now, which is 3 times a number, so it always gets a little bit harder. We can come up with a better formula later. And then we're going to generate our spawn list here. Okay, so the hard part in my mind, not so hard, but yeah, so one of the Moonray, that's exactly one of the things I like to say is the best code doesn't use if, it doesn't have any indentation, doesn't use any ifs. And what I usually tell people is 90% of the time, if you're writing, once you get to a certain level, 90% of the time, if you're writing an if statement, you're doing something wrong, because your code should sort of hide the if statements in, if you're doing object-oriented programming, you hide the if statements in your methods, and it's like sort of dynamically dispatch to the appropriate thing. But I could talk about that much later. So we're gonna say while amount is greater than 0. We're gonna do this multiple times. Amount minus. Or so we want a repeating loop. So we could actually do a for loop here. For int I equals 0, I less than amount, I plus. All right. We're gonna select a random enemy. All right. So we're gonna select a random enemy. So we're gonna do list enemy ship. Is that right? Let's look at my spawner real quick. What does my spawner do? I think it actually just accepts a enqueue. Yeah, so we're just gonna enqueue all of these guys. Meneliki, good morning. Happy Wednesday, my friend. Welcome aboard. It's good to see you again. God, I love that Super Meat Boy emoji. I think that's my favorite emoji. It's so good, so good. Super Meat Boy is one of my favorite games. I've actually bought it like 4 or 5 times. I have it on so many platforms. It's kind of ridiculous. Wave control. Yeah, so we can just enqueue. We have an enqueue enemy that takes the whole list. I want to have sort of an easy public void enqueue enemy. So make it so I can just pass in 1 if I want as well. It's such a good fun game. Enemy ship, enemy, and then we just do enemy queue dot enqueue dot add enemy, like that. And this is a one-liner, so I like to do this. Well, this just is a forward to that little method over there. Let's make this. Oh, I already have it private. Beautiful. Game controller, wave controller. So we're gonna loop through. We're gonna randomly select an enemy ship. E is equal to enemies at, and then we're gonna randomly select an index. So we'll do int random index is random dot range from 0 to enemies dot count, like that. And then we're just gonna select that random enemy, and we add it into our spawner. Spawner.enqueue enemy E. So we're just gonna start. We're just gonna enqueue all these enemies, and then we're gonna invoke on wave start dot invoke wave, and then wave increases. Formal Goose Foundation, welcome back, my friend. Task update API to return sub. All right. Formal Goose here, getting a nice sign on in here, holding themselves accountable. I love it. Awesome. Tell me more. What is update API to return subcategory image URLs? Tell me more. Tell me more, Formal. What are you working on? I always love to hear what you're working on. One thing we need to do is I want to, these enemy ships, I think they might need to be enemy ship controllers, or I need to wait to register when they're destroyed. All right, so I actually think I'm gonna go in here in my enemy ship. I need to know when this ship gets destroyed so that I can sort of track how many. My wave controller needs to know when the ships have been destroyed, so I sort of need to have this Unity event that tells me when it's been destroyed. Get like that, and we'll import our Unity event. Exactly, Moonray. I need to know when it dies, so I have to add in an event here so I can register myself on it. And so this is gonna propagate through here and tell me, oh, I need to add in this on destroyed thing. Field serialize, field public, and we'll just have it be a get private set here. So now we have this in there. So we have this on destroyed. And in my wave controller, I just register when I go to spawn these things, I register myself on. Well, actually, it's interesting here. So I'm not actually. I want to. So these are sort of. This ship isn't getting destroyed actually. So this is like a template for an enemy, not the actual enemy. So the actual template is the one that has to have it. So I actually need to go back on this. It's not that this has an on destroyed. The enemy ship is a template for it, whereas actually the enemy ship controller has it. And I think it already has it because it has a destructible controller on it. So I need a way to access that. So let me go back here, got rid of it there, get rid of it here. And the idea is when this thing spawns, I kind of have that. So it's just sort of the event manager sort of tracks it for me. So the destructible here. So if I go over to my enemy, I have the way to do that. I just need to have an access to it and register it. So in my enemy has a couple things. It's a destructible. So it has two events. One of them is an on hit, so I can register when it gets hit if I need to. It has an on destroyed, so I can register events so when it's destroyed. And so I think what I need to do actually is the actual doesn't get spawned till later in my enemy spawner. So I'm thinking what's the good way to do it. Yeah. Let's see here. Enemy wave controller. So open up my enemy spawner, sort of where it happens. And I kind of need an on spawn. What's interesting is wave control and enemy spawner are sort of tightly coupled. No, it doesn't actually have a GUID. I don't know that I need it. I don't know that I need, you know, a GUID on it. I think instead, I sort of want this enemy spawner to have like an on spawn. So I could use the destruction ship. So the challenge I'm having here is that this doesn't actually spawn anything, right? So when it's not actually spawned until later. It's just registering, hey, this is an enemy template that I'd like to use. When you do spawn, here's the template for it. It doesn't actually spawn the enemy. And so what I want is, and you know, for you don't want to have too many things going on. And what I really want is this enemy ship controller that gets spawned. I think our spawner sort of needs to have an event that says on spawn, and it can send that to our wave controller. Yeah. But I don't need to actually, I don't think I need a GUID because it should be able to just sort of, I don't want to have to look anything up by a GUID. Instead, I'm gonna add in a Unity event here. Unity event. Or maybe I'm just misunderstanding what you're suggesting, Formal. I'm sorry if that's what's going on. Enemy ship controller on spawn. So we're gonna have this event here that each time a ship is spawned. So this is kind of cool. So like when a ship is spawned, you can like, if you want something to be able to track what's out there, it'll have that ability to do it. You just register it on this spawner. Beautiful, Formal Goose. Congratulations on your task complete. So when we spawn, right here, our on spawn is going to invoke with the ship with the enemy that was just spawned. Enemy ship controller, new enemy. So this is like the actual instance of the enemy, whereas the enemy ship is a template for it. Because you don't want to have to create all these game objects that aren't actually on the screen. So this is just a reference to like a template for the thing that's going to get created. And then this actually spawns it. And then we invoke, hey, this thing was spawned. So our enemy wave controller will register itself on our spawner. So then when it spawns, I'll be able to say, okay, this is how many enemies that I know exist in the world. And when that happens, it registers on that enemy's destroy. That would be really, really cool, Formal Goose. If you did that, I might use it. That'd be really cool. So we have a public void start. So when we start up, we are going to spawner dot on spawn dot add listener. We're gonna add ourselves to this thing, and then we need to have a method, private void handle or register enemy. It's gonna take enemy ship controller or enemy. Right, so the idea is we have this register enemy. So when an enemy spawns, the spawner will notify the wave controller. Build it and use it on my stream. I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be super cool. And then really the thing that we do is when an enemy becomes into existence, all we're really gonna do is we're gonna get the component. We know it has to be a destructible, and we're gonna register ourselves on it. what is it called? On destroyed. We got to make this public private set so that we can destroy it. I'm surprised I made these private as well. Okay. So now on destroyed dot add listener, and this is just gonna basically we'll have a count here that keeps track of int, so private int. We want to know when the certain number have been destroyed. Spawned private int destroyed. And there's a little bit in there that's not quite right, because when it moves off the screen, it'll get destroyed as well. We're gonna add a little listener here to this. Yeah, so spawned or like total. So it's gonna be like this number needs to be the amount here, right? Here's the enemy ships remaining. Here we go. Public int enemy ships remaining. Like this. And this will actually be set here. So enemy ships remaining, and then each time a ship is destroyed, we're going to subtract 1 from this. We also need to keep track, so I'm realizing that this isn't going to quite work because enemy ships are going to float off the screen. Let's serialize this so we can see it. There's another reason to serialize it. It makes it so that you can actually save these files. Wave number, I'll put this at the top. Enemy ships remaining starts at 0. And then this listener here is going to reduce enemy ships by 1. All right, so on ships destroyed, enemy ships remaining minus minus. Well, and it can't quite do that because we also need to, when the wave ends, private void handle enemy destroyed. And this is going to take in destructible on destroyed. Just takes in a destructible controller. Destructible controller. Destructible. Oof. All right. Jumping through some hoops here. I'll have to see if I can shimmy this down, make it a little bit simpler. So the idea though is we're going to do enemy ships remaining minus minus. So we reduce the enemy ships remaining, then we check if enemy ships remaining is less than or equal to 0. We basically say that the wave has ended. So we'll do on wave completed dot invoke, and then we just finished our wave. So if all the ships have been destroyed, have been removed, then we invoke that. Okay, but that that doesn't account for when it moves off the screen. So the way we've set it up right now is when it moves off the screen, this won't work. But I think there's an easy-ish fix to that because we made this sort of on-screen controller, which also has this on destroyed. But before we destroy it, we want to basically say if this thing is a destructible, get component destructible controller. All right, so if it is a destructible, think I could just chuck it back. That's not a bad idea. I still have to do a check here. I think for the most part, the enemy ships don't fly off the screen, but that's not true. I just added one where I sort of want it to be able to fly off the screen. That So we're gonna say if destructible is not null. So if it has a destructible, I don't like this hard code here, so I'll have to come up with something better. But this is sort of what I'm thinking right now. Destructible dot on destroyed dot invoke with itself. So we're just going to inform the world that, hey, this thing's about to destroy itself. And then it destroys itself. All right, so this should cover us moving off the screen. Okay, so we have our enemy wave controller. And then when our wave's finished, we'll do wave plus plus, so we increase our wave, and I'm gonna set a little timeout to start the next wave. All right, so then we're gonna start the next wave after. So we're gonna invoke name of start wave. We're gonna start the next wave, and then we're gonna start it after 3 seconds. All right, and so that will make the wave end, and then start wave will happen shortly thereafter. But yeah, Moonray, I think that's not a bad idea, is go ahead and add it back in. I could do that here potentially, but there's some more code I'd have to write to make it work. For now, I'm gonna stick with this just to see. And so my game controller needs to now use my enemy wave controller. Let's try it. So game. Go to my game controller. And the idea here is I no longer have my spawner here, and instead this is going to be our wave controller. We can start getting rid of these because we're not going to use them anymore, so that's nice. I was able to reduce the complexity of game controller and sort of stuff that away into an isolated, say like, well, the wave controller is going to take care of all of that for us. All right. And then let's attach the wave controller before I forget. Gotcha. Are you doing a bullet health style game, Moonray? Game controller, wave controller, like that. So we've attached it in there. This is still way too complex. Way too much stuff in my game controller in general. These events are great, but can probably reduce what's going on here. All right, so we have our wave controller, and when we start up, our wave controller will need to register. Let's see, we want our wave controller. Oh, I can fix this. I already see some things I want to remove out of here. Our wave controller sort of needs to reset here. Yeah, absolutely, Moonray. Go ahead and do that. And if you want to, post it on the Discord channel as well, and I'll save it there for you. I'd love to check it out. Let's see, I can do Nightbot save this. Is there a way? I'm trying to figure out. I don't know exactly how to make Nightbot okay with it. Post it on the Discord, and then I'll post it if you're on Discord, and then I'll share it. Oh, actually, I can share it here. Here, look at me go. Using the old noodle. There we go, Moonray. All right, what was I doing? Oh, yeah. I wanted my wave controller. In my wave controller, I need to have like a reset. Yeah, so a public void reset. So this will get called at the very beginning, and reset sets wave equal to 1, and then we'll set out and invoke name of start wave after 3 seconds. So we'll go ahead and start the spawn after 3 seconds. And so this way in our game controller, when we insert a coin, we do enemy or wave controller dot reset. All right, so that'll start it up. So I've done a whole lot of coding without testing, so I usually shouldn't do that, but I've been getting into a funky habit lately of doing that, and so I apologize. Pensive Elephant, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome aboard. We are working on getting a more interesting enemy wave spawner. And so right now in my wave controller, this enemy has no waypoints, so it's not going to be very smart, but we'll add in an enemy that flies from A to B. So we'll have an enemy that just sort of goes back between A and B. It'll spawn, move between A and B, and let's give it a go. Let's see what that looks like. Or if it even works. There we go. We got one enemy. It should spawn 3. There's another one. And there's the third one. So that's wave 1. And if we blow those guys up, our next wave should start here in a second. Yeah, we should get 6 this time. There we go. And then if I destroy all of these, we should get 9 on the next one. All right, so what's cool is every wave we can add in a new type of enemy. Pensive Elephant, absolutely. I love the Kenny game assets. They're beautiful. They're awesome. Kenny has some awesome stuff. All right, so I am not sponsored by Kenny, but I'm gonna show off Kenny assets, Kenny game assets. I got them off of Open Game Art. But if you want to have, if you're looking to prototype, just want to build something right off the bat, super easy. Kenny game assets has so many, and there's so many free ones that are even they're CC 0 assets. So that Creative Commons 0 means that they are part of public domain. If you don't want to, you don't even have to credit Kenny. You can just put them in your game, use them for any purpose you want. You can take them, you can remix them, reuse them. It's awesome. It's awesome. One of the best resources out there. Absolutely worth donating, becoming a patron. And they have some awesome tools as well. My favorite is this Kenny shape. I use this in my one of my art classes. You take sprites. All right, so let's open this up. You make 3D shapes out of sprites. So it's sort of like pixel art, but you can add depth, and then it creates symmetrical depthing. So awesome for creating really, really easy 3D stuff. My young students love it. It's one of my favorite things out there. The shape tool isn't free, but totally worth it. $4. It's awesome. This is my favorite thing that Kenny has, is this shape tool. There's other things too that are great, but man, the shape tool is awesome. My students love it. Really, really simple graphics, and you use it. So when I teach my Unity class this next time, I want eventually do a 3D thing. You can have them exported as 3D models that import nice with the textures already attached with the correct materials right into Unity. It's beautiful. All right, so we have this first enemy here. We're gonna add in another enemy. All right, so that's enemy 1. We're gonna add in a new enemy here. Same enemy template. This one's gonna be wave 2. And it is actually we're gonna have it sort of come down at the player. It's gonna go to A and then D. All right, so we'll have a new enemy that goes from A to D. All right, so A to D. All right, and then in the third wave, in wave 3. We'll have one go from B to C. All right, let's give it a shot. I'm curious how we're gonna do. So we should be able to take some things out here. Boom. Can't stop me. I should let the enemies come in a little bit. Alright. And then we should have enemies sort of start flying down towards us. Let's go to A and then there we go. Oh, that one's doing something interesting. Oh, A to B. A to B. I wanted to go from... It's going from B to C. That's funny. We wanted to go from... Not B to C. They did start doing different things. But A to D. Where's D? D's down here. That's interesting. B to C is not what I wanted. I wanted B to E. Although that... It should have been this one. Should have been this one. That's interesting. Let's take another look here. It's like almost a playable game. I mean, I guess technically it's playable. It's what I'll say is it's almost a fun, interesting game, right? With my I want to add a little thing that says what wave we're on too. So that enemy, there we go. What's interesting? So, oh, that's even. So we got the enemies flying back and forth there in there. Steam release, any DLC planned? Exactly, Meneliki. Okay. What I'm interested in is it must not be all right. So I want to add a little thing on the screen that tells me when the wave is starting. Yeah, Pensive Elephant. This is all when you say my own design. I built this from scratch. I didn't make the graphics. I've done all the work here except the graphics. Yeah. So I think something's not quite right with my wave spawner, but we're gonna add in a little in our canvas here. We're gonna add a little thing that tells us what wave we're on. So we'll have like a little thing on the screen that says like wave 1, and it like will blink or something like that. So let's add in some text. Actually, before I do that, I gotta take a quick break here, get myself another cup of coffee. I'll be back shortly. 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Promise. Where's my coffee button? Boom. I'll be back. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I needed to get some more coffee. I forgot to get coffee yesterday, and it killed my throat. Um, all right. So I wanted to make sure we have. I guess coffee. I also have water, but it's 6:15 here, and we're feeling good, and we're gonna continue working here on. Oh, yeah. So I wanted to add into my canvas a little like a wave notification text. So that's going to be a text wave notification. So this thing is just going to sort of say wave. So on it, it'll say something like wave and then N, like wave 10, something like that. And we'll center the text. We are going to use the good pixel colors there. Let's turn off this start screen just so we can see what the heck this looks like. Wave 10. Make it nice and fat here. 96. Ooh, that too big? 72. 72, that seems good. Wave, let's make it take up the whole width, just in case it gets big. And then the height should be 72. So the idea, Sudai, thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate that. So we're gonna say wave 10, and I need to add a little script to this. This one should be pretty straightforward, but we have a little script that knows how to turn itself on, and then after a couple seconds, it hides itself. So we'll create a script here. This is gonna be in my scripts folder. Have I had overlay yet? Yeah, I do. So we're gonna create a new controller here. Wave text controller. Okay, and in our wave text, what are we gonna do to that? We need to, we're gonna attach it to our wave notification. All right, so we'll put this on here. And the idea is this thing knows that it has the text. All right, so close. I'm pretty sure there's a bug in my wave controller, and this is gonna help me find it a little bit. I think the wave's advancing too quickly. So here, we know that we need to require a component. And so this thing is going to have the, we got to import it. So using TM Pro. So this thing is going to require that it has this text component on it. Not particular into sci-fi games. I do think I'm a big fan of sci-fi in general, sci-fi fantasy. I wouldn't necessarily say I am particularly into making sci-fi games. Have I made? Let's go look. Where Jocolo Man, HIO. So have I made a mini malfunction? So this is essentially the shooter I'm sort of imitating here. I think this is the only. Yeah, I've only really made one sci-fi game, but I do like sci-fi quite a bit. Usually they're fantasy games. Yeah. So if anyone wants to check out the little games I've done for my game jams, feel free to check those out. But no, not in particular. Not in particular. Thank you, Menaliki. I appreciate it. I haven't made any games in a while. Mostly they're just for like little game jams. But yeah, have a look. My favorite one is Flippin' Quick. It's hard though. That one people did not like. But my inspiration for this was the Malfunction one. So that was a 3-hour game jam. And the code on that one's a nightmare. And so the idea was like, how can I do this the quote unquote right way? All right, so we're gonna have that in there, and the idea is we have a public void this show wave, and it takes in wave. So this is gonna enable itself. So it's gonna be get component, and it knows it has a text mesh pro on it, and so the text is gonna be wave. Wave. So it's going to show that. It's going to enable itself. Game object dot set active true, and then It's gonna close down. Oh, the one I just posted, yeah, that's my stuff on itch. So those are some of the games I've made. It's been a while since I've made anything and published to itch, but last fall I got super into it and I made several things. I really liked the Try Jam. Try Jam is a 3-hour game jam, and I sort of streamed myself and recorded myself. That's sort of when I got interested in streaming, and thought it was super fun. So we're set active, and then we want another one, hide overlay. So after, essentially, this is just going to be game object. So at the time I was super busy teaching, and so it was like I wanted to do some stuff. I wanted to improve my Unity skills, but a full-on game jams, you can get obsessed with them. Name of hide overlay. We're gonna say go ahead and hide that after 3 seconds. So I'm a teacher right now. So my main job is that so I'm hired part-time as a teacher at an online middle school, but I also do tutoring. I run a summer program that I've been building up. So last summer I ran this really cool summer program, Captain Coder's Academy. So I guess in a lot of ways I'm kind of self-employed, but I do have a stable part-time job as a middle school teacher. Before that I was working K through 12, and then before that I was a software engineer for about 10 years, which I loved that, but I've always wanted to be a teacher. It's been hard to break into teaching. And I finally made it a couple years ago. I finally got hired as a teacher and got my foot in the door, and now I'm doing it and I love it. So I'm kind of on break right now. My school has a 3-week break. I've taken a vacation for myself as well, so I'm streaming. But my goal here is to create educational content. Why not share? I've always wanted to do this sort of thing, and it's just been exciting. I want to teach people how to program. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so when this thing shows up, it's going to go ahead and hide itself. And we'll say public void start. So when we start up, I just want to make sure this thing isn't active at the beginning. All right, so anyway, we have this thing, the wave displayer. And maybe we want to move it up a little bit, but that's okay. We'll enable this one. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. This is disabled by default, but we're going to register this on our wave controller. So our wave controller has an on wave start. And so this thing, when a wave starts, our wave controller is going to call show wave. Not show wave that, but show wave dynamic int. All right, let's see if our wave text will show up now. Insert coin. And when the wave starts, wave 1, there we go. Should disappear after 3 seconds. And then after I kill these 3 guys, it should start the next wave in a second here. See, it went straight to wave 3, so there's a bug. There's some kind of bug in here. I thought that was something weird was going on with that. Okay. Wave. Enemy wave controller. That's awesome, Moonray. I love. So I was working at a K through 12, doing a lot of middle school, high school. I really, I've always said for a long time, I've said my dream job would be an elementary computer science teacher. I love working with young children, but I'm absolutely, so I think that wasn't true. I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy middle school, ages 11, like 10, 11, 12, 13. That is just so fun. But yeah, years ago, I think like 6 years ago, I started my YouTube channel, and I created 2 videos. One is like a web develop or a weather app, and then a weather app using JavaScript is a little tutorial on my YouTube channel. and then making Tetris in Elm. So Elm is this like sort of, I want to call it esoteric, but it's a not well-known programming language for doing web development. But like 6 years ago, I did that, and that was really fun. And I always wanted to do more, but it's always hard to find the time. Then I made a bunch of videos for my students for admin of code, and that sort of got me back into, wrong button, Discord. There it is. So there's a link to my Discord. What am I doing here? My wave is increasing. I'm increasing my wave twice here. So I don't actually want to increase. Let's see. So we won't actually increase our wave until we end. All right, so let's try that there. So it's increasing my wave twice. Once after I was done spawning, and then once after all the enemies were destroyed. All right, so we got wave 1. I want to make that thing blink too. Oh. Awesome, awesome. All right, so wave 2. We should get some new enemy pathing. There we go. They come down at you now. So you gotta watch out. Oh, that's quite a bit harder. Need to make these guys not drop shields so often. So there's a bug with my code here for the shield dropping apparently. Wave 4. Should only increase. Okay. I would like to get more indigo dot. Wave 1. Yeah, so my next step here, so that's my bonus when I did my sign on here. So if we look at my sign on, my bonus, I want to refactor the enemy spawner so I could have waves. My bonus, I'm going to add in weapon power-ups. I want to give some bonus weapons. So I have some different in mind, and then my double bonus that in a shield meter, so that we can see how much shield we have. Yeah. Oh yeah, Moonray, I meant to check out. Thank you. I'm so sorry I never opened up your Twitter. I wanted to check out what you're doing. I just saw that over on the Discord. Is this your pixel art? Ooh, this looks cool. Oh, those eyes. That's cool. This one here, or second photo, let me scroll down. Oh, yikes. So we got hordes of enemies. Hordes and hordes of enemies. This is cool. Oh, let's click the follow button. Following Moonray here. Keep us posted on that. How long have you been working on it? Okay. All right, so we got our spawner kind of working. Was I paying attention? Did I get it? I swear it jumped up from 1 to 2 to 4, but maybe that's not true. Wave 1. Wave 2. All right. Gotta actually pay attention this time. See if we get wave. Need to make it so they can spawn faster too. All right, wave. They spawn so slow. Okay, wave 3. I just wasn't paying attention. So we got guys coming down on the left. We should also have guys coming down on the right. Guys floating around. We got guys coming down on the right. Come on. There it goes. Okay, so cool. All right, my wave spawner seems to be working pretty well. Let me do a commit before I forget. But yeah, we're going off. here. Get status git add. What's this default? It's because I changed something in my layout settings. Okay. Git commit -m feature implement wave spawner. Okay, so got their wave spawner in there. The enemies are kind of dumb, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's add in some additional power-up types. Okay, so some additional power-up types. I wanted to add in a new weapon to it. And so, if I look at my player, in my prefabs, my player, player controller, front laser spawn. So I kind of want to have this, a laser that shoots in more than just one direction. So it sort of like shoots up. It'll shoot 3, 1 forward and 2 out into the sides. So I want to make a laser here. So we're going to call this a spread shot. So we'll have a spread shot. Let me try and organize this a little bit better as well. Enemies. It's called enemy. We'll move these into here. Enemy ships, enemy lasers, laser. So we'll create a folder called player. Formal goose says boop. Player, spread shot, laser. All right, so the idea is the spread shot will actually be 3 lasers. All right, it's going to be 3 lasers, and they'll fly sort of in different directions. Oh, it's rough. Naming, if anyone who's watched me code knows that naming is the hard. I always say naming is the hardest part of programming. Nutella, happy to have you again. Welcome back. Welcome back. So we are gonna. What's interesting here is, how do I hide this widget? I want to see this sound icon. Audio source. How do I hide? Someone tell me I'm dumb here. How do I hide this little audio thing? I want to see underneath that, or do it. Go to my laser. Oh, I think I've just. We all have programming quirks, absolutely. All right, if I zoom in here, all right, so I really just want to have 3 lasers. So actually, this is just going to have 3 lasers. We're going to add in a laser, Slightly confused as to this overall thing, because it's going to end up destroying itself. If you work for a company, it's super important. It's super important for everyone to follow the same coding standards. So I used to hire people as like on a hiring, I'd interview people to hire. One of the questions I would ask is, you know, spaces, tabs or spaces. That was like a joke question, but really how someone responds to that is important. The answer you're kind of looking for, a little conversation, is like, well, how do you deal with like different coding conventions? All right, so my spread shot's kind of dumb here. I thought I could just clone my laser, but I can't quite. It needs to sort of spawn these 3 things and remove them from it. Yeah, so we're gonna delete these things. But at the end of the day, it's tabs. Exactly. Exactly. At the end of the day, it's tabs. So it depends, Moonray. It depends. Yeah, go ahead, Formal Goose. Give it a shot. Let me see what you're gonna do. Although I did add in the Nightbot. So I apologize if whatever you do gets blocked by Nightbot. Front lasers. So the idea is we have 3 lasers, and the front laser is going to be 0, 0. The left laser, they all sort of start at 0, 0, but they're rotated slightly. So this one should be, what is it, 45 degrees? Oh, maybe 45. Maybe let's try 30 degrees. 30. And we'll shimmy that over just a hair so they all sort of seem to come from the same spot. And then our left laser will be negative 30. Oops, wrong way. Wrong spot, negative 30. 0, 0, and then let's shimmy that over here. We want to remove the audio source from these. Really, we only want one thing to have an audio source. Let's unpack these, actually. So we're going to unpack. Prefab, unpack. Okay. An on-screen controller. Let's get rid of the audio sources on these. Otherwise, it's going to play the laser sound 3 times. They do have rigid bodies. They are lasers, and so the speed that they move, they like need to move in different directions. So I need to kind of come up with the correct speed amount. And when we spawn the spread shot, it sort of needs to spawn them in and then like remove them from it as a child. So it spawns them in and they go in that direction. They should work just fine. Oh, they do need a laser. Oh, they do have a laser controller because the enemies look for laser controller. So what's the math for 30-degree angles? About. I guess what I can do is my left laser, we'll have it go -2, and we'll have our right laser go +2. Just see what that looks like. That might be what we do. So let's go back to our scene. We'll add in a spread shot just to look at what they look like real quick. Add some of these in there, and then we'll remove them so we can see if that is the right amount. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Pseudo, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. If you're new here, we are working on a 2D space shooter prototype. My plan here is to figure out. I'm trying to learn what I don't know. I want to know what I don't know, so that way I can teach my students how to do this. I'm teaching an Intro to Unity class next term in the that's interesting. In the what we're calling the winter term at my school, and we are biotest. Happy Wednesday, my friend. So nice to see you. For anyone who doesn't know, biotest is the master composer of the music in Space Raiders. So this music was written by Biotest. Let's see if I can pause this here. This beautiful music here, Biotest created for us, as well as get the game over music here in a second. Listen for the game over. Beautiful. So Biotest made that first. He made these great little icons for our sound controls as well. So Thank you so much, Biotest, one more time for all of the wonderful help you've provided me. And I'm so happy to see you again. So happy to see you again here today. So to test this out, we need to add in sort of I want a script that sort of, it removes all the things, all of its children from itself, and then sort of destroys itself. So this is just sort of like a container to get these on the screen. And so I'm gonna write a script just called like an unpacker controller. And all an unpacker does, it says remove all my children and then destroy myself. All right, and I wish I had done that over here. That's okay, because now it put it in like my main asset, so I'll move it back into my scripts. And we have an unpacker. Let's get back into our code here. And so basically the unpacker, when it starts, it's just gonna detach all of the children. So transform.detach children. So I think it's just, and I've never actually done this, but I'm pretty sure that this takes all the children and remove them from myself. Unity cannot change vector3 to transform in this. I don't quite understand. Yeah, the types aren't quite the same thing. I'd have to see more of a code example to quite understand. It should work. It should work if we do. Are you in a mono behavior? What's the error you're getting, Bio? You should be able to do, let's see, transform dot position equals new vector 3. Yeah, you should be able to do that. So what it seems, the error message is telling you that the variable on the left side is not a vector. So you might have a variable called position. Is it a compiler error or a runtime error? All right, so in our player, just to test it out, our player, we're gonna make it so our player has a spread shot at the beginning. So now I should fire, yeah. Oh, it doesn't play the sound though. Spread shots, boss. That worked out pretty well. Okay, so we have our spread shot. And so the idea now is that we're gonna add in a power up, right? So we're gonna add a power up that an enemy can drop that if you collect it, gives you the spread shot. Yeah, spread shot, please nerf. What I really need to do is make it so you can't shoot as fast. Ooh, straight thick beam, I like that. Just, and then you can like move your ship as you're going. Ooh, I think I like that. I think I like that idea a lot. We're gonna try that in a second. We're gonna try and make our spread. We're gonna try and do atomic breath. I like it. Let's see here. I need to. Oh, I'm making a power. I'm making a power up. So in our create a folder. Apologies. Formal Goose says, I apologize. I get bored really easily and then things like this happen. What happened? I missed it. I missed it. Or are you about to try something now? Task, updating bot. Did it work? All right, so in our power up here, we have a shield power. We're gonna change this to spread shot power up. All right, so in our spread shot power up, we are gonna change the power up icon here. So our sprite renderer. Let's go to our sprites and power ups. Let's zoom in. Let's get a better look at what these look like. Spread shot. Which one of these looks good for a spread shot? Let's go. Ooh, this one looks like a spread shot. We'll use this one. I'm gonna update, lock that just so I can get to it. Spread shot. That looks pretty good. All right, we'll use that for our spread shot. And shield power-up controller. It's no longer a shield power-up controller. We got to make a like weapon power-up controller. Power-up controller. So we'll duplicate this, and we're gonna make this a weapon power-up controller. Yeah, they look great. One thing I need to do is I probably need to make it so it actually stays pixelized. So one thing I haven't done yet is set it. Oh, I did set it to no filter. Beautiful. Ooh, did it work? That looked like it worked, Formal Goose. That looked like it worked. So if I type task, set my task, and then if I do my task, shield power up controller. Let's this is gonna be weapon power up controller. Moonray, me too. Moonray, absolutely. I agree with you. I'm a sucker for pixel art. I'm so sad. My favorite game jam, and I only got to do it twice, was let's do board pixel jam. Board, come on, we can get there. Board pixel jam. This was like my favorite game jam that ever really existed. It was so much fun. It was awesome. And I'm a little sad that the person who runs it, essentially, I don't know, I think they graduated from school. I don't know exactly. They don't have time to run it anymore. So I was really, really sad to see it go. Let's try my task here. Formal Goose. Nice work, my friend. Nice work, my friend. Really good. Really good. I love that. I love that. Oh, Meneliki, that's exactly what I was getting at. I created, and let's see, I can never quite figure out how to get there. Jam / Captain Coders Learn You a Pixel Jam. All right, so I'm hosting my own jam this summer. Learn You a Pixels Jam. And so if you love pixels, you should join the Learn You a Pixels Jam. I'm going to be hosting it this June, so after my school year ends, I'll have a little bit more time to run it. But the whole idea is like, what can you learn? I want people to learn. So yeah, I'm hosting a game jam here, and there's 3 prizes. I'm gonna see if I can figure out right now. I talked with my lawyer. You have to be in my company to be able to send you stuff. To be able to send winners stuff, you kind of have to be in the U.S. So I'm planning on doing some prizes though. But you should absolutely join. Don't join for the prizes. Join just for the educational experience, to learn something, to grow. But I do have some prizes. I'm trying to figure out if I can somehow get the prizes so I can send them internationally. But to be eligible for prizes, you have to be, U.S. citizen right now. But yeah. So I don't want it to discourage people from doing it at all. I want everyone to do it, but I also want to give out some prizes. I think it'll be fun. I'm a teacher, Bio. I teach. I'm a middle school teacher. Yeah. So, all right. So we're gonna have a weapon power-up controller, and so the weapon power-up, we need to add in the actual weapon we have. Bio test. Maybe I added in a Nightbot. I don't want to make any promises that I will use it if you make it, but if you make one, I'll absolutely check it out. And I love when people make cool things. Absolutely. So we have serialized field here. Yeah, if I can get international, I'm gonna try. I think it's just fun to have something to work towards, and it's fun to be rewarded for doing something awesome. Oh, Discord bot, biotest. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Make a Discord bot. I think that'd be awesome. I'd toss it in there. I'd absolutely let you add a Discord bot, as long as it's appropriate, right? Serialized field. What am I doing here? Well, we need the actual weapon that we're gonna add here. And our player, is it just a game object? A boomer moment. Boomer moment. I try not to be too boomerish. Our player controller. Is our weapon just a game object? It's just a game object. I'll be Doodle. Where's Daybot when he needs to suppress the Nightbot cult? Yeah, so I was debating whether or not to have prizes, but the idea was to have like, I want to encourage people to do a devlog. So the prize really comes from doing a like, what did you learn here? Game object, laser. Right, so it's game object. I should probably make a type called like a weapon controller. Yeah, so if we look at what the prizes are, there's judge favorite. So I'm gonna get 3 people to help me judge. 3 judges just sort of pick their favorites. Crowd favorite, whoever gets the highest number, you know, just a general overall voting. But most educational, I'm gonna review a devlog. So I'm asking everyone if you'd like to be eligible for the most educational, create a devlog, blog, or vlog explaining what you learned, what you set out to learn, and then the one that I feel, not just me, but me and the judges, we're gonna talk through, someone's gonna be awarded, you know, the most educational project. That's the idea. Python is buggy. Why do you say Python's buggy, Biotest? I'm not a big fan of Python, but I've used it quite a bit. Game object, weapon. Get private step. All right, so when the player collects it, what does base.collect do? On collect, and then it destroys itself. Okay. Yeah, so it has nuance. So you're right. Python is interpreted, so there's no compiler errors. And that's one of the things that I think is the hardest part. Equals weapon. I think we have to clone this weapon. Instantiate. Yeah, so we actually have to do maybe? No, I don't think I have to clone it. Player.laser. We have to be able to set this. Okay. So we'll add that in there. All right, here we go. Check this out. I don't know that Python's outdated. It's just going for something else. But I love that go.allows C# shape. And I hear it's a little bit tricky at this point, but it does exist in there. All right, so in my enemy now, enemies, I should be able to add in a shield. There's a bug here for sure because it's enemies dropping stuff all the time. We can drop in a shield or a spread shot. All right, so our enemies should drop spread shot power-ups now. Let's test it. Well, that was smart. We should... There it is. Didn't work. It didn't actually give me the spread shot. Look at my... Oh, I'm assuming that I didn't actually attach anything to it. So the spread shot is it still has a shield power up, so I want to remove that. And instead, we're gonna do spread weapon power up controller. And the weapon that we want is the spread shot. Okay. All right, let's see how we do. Oh, we unpack, then we got to destroy ourselves. Hang on, hang on. Did I do that right? Unpack, control. Right now I just detach on my children, but then I want to do destroy this dot game object. And not, I don't need this, it should be game object. You did the mystery of characters? That's hilarious, Biotest. I had forgotten that. You found it on my Discord, I'm assuming. Yeah, my students love that little assignment. The idea is to teach them a little bit about, like, characters are just numbers. They get encoded. That's awesome. How fun. All right, so I should be able to collect the spread shot here. Come on. Drop a spread shot. Shouldn't be this hard. Drop a spread shot. Oh. Really? Oh, I have an error going on in my code. That's what's happening. Okay, there's an error. Interesting. All right, so I have a bug. Missing reference. Oh, I broke in my enemy prefab. Enemy prefab, enemy ship. Yeah, that would do it. So there are ways you can test it well, but yes, the joys. It might, there's this like fallacy I have of, well, I could write a unit test, or I could just manually test it and then it'll work out, right? All right, here we go. I gotta wait for them to be lower so I can actually try and collect the... There it is. All right, spread shot me. Yeah! All right, so that now when I die, when I restart the game, when I die, I should lose it. All right. And it works. All right, all right. So we got our little base weapon power up going on there. I need to add a sound effect to this. All right, so there's a sound effect I need to add to our spread shot. So we'll just add it to a single one of the lasers. Or actually, the sound will destroy itself. So, all right, so we're gonna add in, oh, that's right. I was smart about this. I can just add in, can attach a sound effect here. All right, and the sound effect I want happens to be the laser sound effect. Laser. Let's try laser fire 2. What does laser fire 2 sound like? Well, I'm gonna have to trim that off at the beginning a little bit. Let's show that in Explorer. So we do have a different sound. Open up Audacity. Let us edit this file. Open. Moonray, have a beautiful day. Get some sleep, my friend. You're up way too late. Way past my bedtime. Have a beautiful day. As always, keep coding, keep growing, and you're welcome back anytime. I'm on vacation starting tomorrow, so I'll be gone for a week, but I'm looking forward to seeing you get back. And I'm going to follow you on Twitter. I'm really looking forward to seeing your progress. I want to override this AUG. It's an AUG. So this is laser fire 2. Yes. So that should, there we go. The delay will be gone, hopefully. And the sound effect should just play itself. I think I have that set up right. Sweet, sweet. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Get that. Oh, come on. Why isn't the sound effect working? Why isn't the sound effect working? What is... Look at sound effect controller. I need to actually do it. Dark Phoenix, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. Happy Wednesday, my friend. I also am sort of learning Unity. I've used it. I've been programming for a while, and I've been doing C# for about 2 years. I wouldn't say I'm amazing at it. I'm not bad. And Unity I've been using for a couple years as well, but I've always used it just like prototype and really fast hack some stuff together. Not particularly. Not a particularly. What am I doing here? Sorry, I'm distracted. Sound effect. I need to make it so that when this thing comes into existence, it plays the sound. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm good at Unity. I'm learning Unity. I'm trying to get better at Unity so I can teach the proper way to program. I've always used it in a hacky way. So my sound effect controller. I need to add an event that's sort of like on. Unpacker doesn't quite work. My laser have. I need to play the sound. All right, so I got to do this in a smart way. Yeah, it's different. It's different. And what's interesting about Unity is programming in Unity is actually quite a bit different than like traditional C# programming. It's like a whole framework for doing coding. Need to have like sort of a startup thing here. So I'm gonna say like when this thing comes into existence, unpacker. Here's my unpacker. I'm gonna add an event. Field, serialized field. But yeah, Dark Phoenix, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to hang out, chat as much as you want. I have a Discord channel. If you ever need help, feel free to hop on there. There's some nice people on there, always willing to try and help you out. Can't promise I'll always know what to say or how to help you, but feel free to ask. And when I'm streaming, feel free to ask as well. Public Unity event. So we're gonna have a thing that can trigger that when we're done unpacking, and it's gonna call here. Absolutely, that's exactly right, Menelikli. Tons of help here. The whole point of what I'm doing here is to learn, grow, and teach others, and teach myself, and just get better at coding in general, and have fun. Have fun. That's something that is too easy to forget. Thanks, Nightbot. Nightbot sent it out right after I did, but there we go. So we'll call this unpack. All right, so what I can do is when we unpack, I'm gonna force this sound effect to fire. Yeah, so we have this unpack, add my sound effect in here. And sound effect controller, we'll do play sound. Okay. And then does this eventually expire? That's interesting. It does. It destroys itself. It creates a copy and then destroys. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So actually, I kind of don't want to unpack this thing. It's gonna end up with loose sound effects floating around in the world. Let's see what happens here. There's nothing wrong with needing to look up tutorials. That's how you get going. And fun fact, all right, I wanted to see in my scene, do I have a bunch of leftover? Yeah, this is creating essentially a memory leak. I have a ton of leftover sound effects. Yeah, sound effects floating around every time I fire one of those because my unpacker. All right, interesting. Unpack. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do about this? The idea is the unpacker unpacks it, but maybe I have a list of public list of game objects, ignore. So these things won't get unpacked. So I want my unpacker to unpack all sorts of stuff, but I can add in things that I don't want to unpack. So field, serialize field. And in fact, what I can do is make it so that transform ignore, so it won't, yeah, there will be one object sort of called like my ignore, ignore. So, oh, I got unreasonably happy. Yeah, it's awesome when you finally get something moving around on the screen. It's super cool. It's super cool. And it's addictive. That's the other thing, is I find it so addictive. So my ignore needs to get added back in. So ignore dot parent equals transform. So you're gonna detach everything and then put this back in, and then it'll end up destroying itself. So what will be cool is we'll be able to create, I think this will work. I think this will work. So if I go to my laser, let's go back to my prefab here. This was my spread shot. It needs to ignore the sound effect, right? And what I was planning on doing, since I'm just doing the one thing, maybe I should make it a list. My idea would that you could create a single transfer that has a bunch of stuff in it. All right, let's try that. See if I have my memory leak still. So we're gonna go. Oh, I need to not blow things up so fast. It makes it hard to get my power-ups. There we go. Get my spread shot. And if I fire a bunch here, I need to just basically make OP. Yeah, spread shot's OP. I need to add in an ammo amount. Yeah, my sound effect's not building up in there anymore. Sweet. All right. Let's see. What did biotest? The end of the document says in your website go to. Does this even work anymore? That's a good point. This is for my solution. Oh yeah. That's hilarious. My students thought that was pretty funny. Okay. All right, so we have our spread shot working here. Doing pretty well. I normally only stream for 2 hours, but you knew it was the Rickroll. My students, I got most of my students on that one. They thought it was funny. They were very upset with me. I normally go for 2 hours, but since I'm going on vacation, I'm gonna go a little bit longer today. See if I can get all my bonuses. So my bonus here, let's see, my stand-up here is on my Discord. We added an enemy spawner. So one thing I want to do. I'm gonna see if I can make a second enemy. I do have weapon power-ups, and I'm gonna add in a shield meter. So my goal, see if I can see how long that's gonna take me. I don't know how long I can keep streaming, but I'm gonna add in a second enemy type. I'm gonna add in a shield meter, and I do want to also add in sort of like an ammo amount. Yeah, making art's tough. My favorite place to go for art when I'm prototyping is upcomming.org. If you don't know about it yet, this is where people post open source free art that you can use. Typically can derive it, put it in there as long as you credit them. So lots of cool free stuff at upcomming.org. Highly recommend. Let's do a commit here since we've added in our laser here. And
Did a lot of new stuff here. Oh, a lot of it was just moving stuff around. Okay, git commit dash m beat add spread shot power up. There we go. So we got a spread shot power up. Super OP, but that's okay. What I want to do is I want to have eventually have like a fire rate. So if you're holding down the fire button, you can just hold it down and it keeps firing. But there's a limit. You can't just like spam it. So every weapon will have a fire rate associated with it. So maybe spread shot, it's awesome, but you can't fire it as fast maybe. And then also like maybe in a total amount of ammo. So when you run out of ammo, it goes back. But these are all in the pipeline dream type things. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there because I'm trying to finish today. I think today is going to be the last day I work on the prototype and then turn it into a how-to video. So Dark Phoenix, the idea here is I'm going to turn this into a project for my students. So look for that on, if you want to, at some point, I'll be posting some tutorial of how to build this on YouTube. So feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see that when it comes out. Don't know when it's going to come out, but it'll come out in next term. So probably in February. That's probably around the time when my students will be starting this project. Okay, what am I doing here? I'm getting distracted. We are adding in a second enemy. That's right. I wanted to add in a second enemy. So let's go to my project here. My project folder, pulling that up. Where is Space Raiders? Here we go. All right, so using some more Kenny assets, we had a enemy UFO. So I'm gonna add in a UFO here to our game. So sprite, add in an enemy UFO. Enemy UFO. And then we're going to make another prefab for enemy. So this one's going to be UFO. Okay. And if we edit this, the UFO is not going to... don't think it's going to shoot things. It's just going to sort of spin. Right? So let's update our... so fascinating. It's always interesting when it does that. Sprite, the enemy UFO, and let's readjust. Is there like a generate again? All right, so we'll get rid of this. How do I want it to be a circle collider. All right, so we're gonna add in Circle Collider 2D, which I think will let me get rid of this now. It's our Circle Collider 2D. Perfect. Made a perfect shape on it. And I want my my enemy. So it's basically the same thing. Enemy ship controller sort of knows what to do, but this one's gonna spin, right? So I want it to spin around. And maybe it'll have a different set of loot tables, something like that. But who knows? There's a bug also in my loot table. The drop probability is just like always happening. I'm gonna look at that. If chance is greater than drop probability, return. Something's going on with that because my enemies always drop. Is this returning an int? Oh, that's what it is. I want this to return a float. There we go. That should fix my drop probability. It was always dropping because it was always basically 1. Or 0. Yeah. So now if we're above that. All right. So now we shouldn't get drops every time. And our UFO, we're going to make it spin and we're going to make it speed faster. So the idea with our UFOs, they're going to be fast. I don't know if 5's too fast, but it's gonna be fast. It's not, its fire rate's gonna be interesting. I have it set up to be, let's go look at our enemy ship controller real quick. Fire rate. fire rate. I don't want it to not fire at all, so we'll set its fire rate to 1,000. And its last, so it'll fire once or something. No, when it starts, this should make it so it won't fire. It fires once every 1,000 seconds, which is like 10 minutes or something like that. 300 would be 5 minutes. 600 would be 10 minutes. So if you keep it on the screen long enough, it'll fire something. But we'll leave that way. And then I want to make it rotate. So I'm going to add a new, and I've done this before in my asteroid, but it'd be nice to just have like a rotation script. So in our main scripts here, we're going to create a script, a rotation controller. So we're going to make this thing to where it just sort of rotates itself, and it has a speed on it. All right, so rotation controller, and we'll need to do something in the update here, but we're gonna steal over from our asteroid controller, because our asteroids were the things where we started spinning, but we might want more than just the asteroids to be able to spin. So we're gonna go ahead and open that up here. Rotation speed, we're gonna steal these things, and then we're gonna refactor this. We're gonna remove it from our asteroid, and then our asteroid, we're gonna say that it happens to have a rotation controller on it. All right, so as a rotation speed, and then essentially we have a rotate method that updates it based on rotation, and then our update just calls rotate. Okay, so we're gonna pull all that out, isolate that here. So actually I have a rotate like that. So our update just rotates. And I like to, if we only do one thing, we're gonna say that rotate update is actually just a call out to the rotate method. So you can at a glance say, oh, well, this is just forwarding off to this one. It's a delegate. This is called a delegate when it just says, don't actually do anything, just use this other method. All right. And I think that's sort of all we need to make this guy rotate. We've got to add it to it, of course. But that shouldn't be too hard to do. Click on my UFO, rotation controller. And these guys are going to rotate fast. We're going to say 360 degrees a second. So it's just going to spin as it's on the screen. And it flies around between waypoints. Okay, so we have a UFO. We're going to say at level 4, we start adding in UFOs. And the UFO is going to be, I want it to sort of like zig around the screen a bunch. So let's go to our enemy spawner. Our wave controller. So if we make it to wave 4, we are going to start spawning UFOs. All right. We'll say wave 4, and its waypoints. Let's lock this here so I don't keep clicking away from it. We are gonna go diagonal, so A to D, and then back up and down. So it's gonna sort of like make this figure 8 on the screen. So we'll go to A, down to D, and then we come back up to C. Oh no, B. And then where's D? Yeah, and then down to E. All right, so it'll sort of do this figure 8, A, D. No, I want to A, E. I want to go to A, E. So I'll move this up. A, E, B, D. So A, E, B, D, A. So it's going to do that loop. All right. So let's get to wave 4 and see what our see if we can make it to wave 4. Should be able to. Although the power-ups are much less frequent now. This is essentially the way to get to level 4, just spam it out there like that. All right, so my enemies Let's see if they ever drop anything. So it should be a 25% drop rate. Yep, we can still drop stuff. Get my shield. We're on wave 2. I do need to make a limiter on my fire rate, so my player shouldn't be able to fire so fast. Although it's fun to be able to fire fast. See if I get to the next wave 3. Oh. Okay. Just gotta make it to wave 4. Get another. I haven't gotten the there it is. Spread shot. OP. And wave 4. All right, we should start seeing some UFOs coming in if I'm not. If I can get there. They're random, so I should probably make it so that it doesn't select from everything, just to make it a little bit more interesting here. Come on, give me. Need to make that spawn rate a little faster too, I think. Give me some. All right, let's see if we can dodge things here for a minute. Come on, UFOs. Oh, this is so sad. Alright, I think I'm gonna have to kill these guys. There we go. Wave 6. There's the new UFO. Ooh! Comes out. Whoa! Comes out swinging. Alright, they're big, so they're easy to hit. Okay, so we do have UFOs now. They do float around on wave 4. I need to do a couple things here. I want my UFO to be smaller. So we're gonna make it so the UFO is smaller. It's a little harder to hit. 0.5, 0.5. So it's gonna be smaller, harder to hit. It does show in there wave 4. I need my spawn rate to be faster. It needs to be a little bit faster as we level up. So we will make it so our enemy spawner, if we go to our wave controller, let's go to our wave controller. When we reset, we'll do spawner dot spawn rate. See, I don't know if I can change this. Starts at 3. This is interesting. This is one of the, because I'm using, I'm doing this. Oh, hang on. I want to go to spawner. Because I do invoke repeating, so I need to try to cancel invoke. All right, so when I change my spawn rate, this is something I don't know exactly how this works. So we'll create a backing field here. Private float spawn rate equals 3 to start. Get is just we pull out the spawn rate, but set needs to change how often we invoke the spawn next. So I was curious. Cancel invoke cancels all invokes on this. So I'm curious if I do cancel invoke on spawn next, does that actually clear out the invoke repeating that I previously did? And then spawn rate equals value. And then the spawn, and then ideally I would call invoke again, but I want to see. Said I can't set it to 3 by default. That's fine. I want to see if when I call set here, if it stops this from spawning things. All right, so it should cancel invoke there. So when our enemy wave, when we call reset, it sets the spawn rate to 3, which should cause it to not start. All right. And we have no semicolon there. Okay. Let's see. So if things went the way I thought they should, we shouldn't get any enemies spawning. We'll get asteroids spawning, but no enemies. So we should have no enemies. It should say wave 1, but the spawner shouldn't actually ever create enemies. Awesome. Awesome. So we can clear out the timer. That's what I wanted to know. Beautiful. So we can clear out the timer using cancel invoke. And then we invoke it based on the specified spawn rate. Invoke, repeating, yeah, spawn next, spawn rate, spawn rate. So we change that invocation to be the new spawn rate. And then we should add a little check in here that says if spawn rate less than or equal to 0, basically throw an exception, throw new system.argument exception. We're gonna say cannot spawn rate must be a positive value was value. And this should be value. We're gonna say if someone tries to set this to a negative value, we can't have a negative spawn rate. So this should, all right, so now if things work the way I think they work, we should be good here. It should operate the same way, but the idea is as our wave goes up, our spawn rate gets faster. Yeah, it's just on enemy spawning. Okay, so each wave in our wave controller, in the start of wave, we're gonna set the spawn rate here to be faster. So it's gonna be based on, so we need to come up with a sort of thing that decreases as the wave goes up. So we wanna start at 3, it's gonna be like 3 minus, and then we need to come up with something that decreases, that is gonna be a value between 0 and 3. And so we sort of like need to normalize, I need a positive number that decreases here. Let's think. So it's going to be a logarithmic function, I think. So it's going to increase logarithmically and has an asymptote of 3. So if I can remember how to do math properly, I want to scale it up to 1. All right, logarithmic. Yeah, I should be able to do log of x. Let's see, log of 10 goes to 1. 30, so like this goes up this way, and it won't get to 3 very fast. And so I think I'm gonna do log of 10 times the wave number. Oh, I want it to start at 0. So 0 should be, log of 0 is undefined. Start at 1. Log of 1. So it's the wave minus 1. So it'll be 1. That'd be wave 1. Wave 2. Wave 3. And then we'll just sort of cap it. Yeah, so our wave here, math dot log base 10 of wave 10 times wave, and then we need to clamp that. So we'll do a float diff, something like that. Diff's a terrible name here, but we can always do some math. This is great. This is a great little thing here. 10 times wave, and then we want to clamp it. Math.clamp this value. Our min value is 0, and our max value is gonna be, we don't want to be 0 on our spawn time, so our max we're gonna set like 0.5 is the fastest spawn rate we'll ever have. And then so we subtract out the diff like this. So this number will be a number that's between 0 and 2.5, and it scales based on the wave number. But as I get higher, so it's like at wave 10 is when I get to 2. So then it'll be 1 second. So we're gonna try that out. See if that seems reasonable. At the very least, I know it's gonna increase from 1 to 2 to 3. But the speed at which it increases sort of it slows down as it gets faster. And I'm gonna get let me pause here. I wanna look at my enemy spawner just so I can see the spawn rate. Oh, this is locked. That's my wave control, my enemy spawner. My spawn rate happens to be 2. Oh, so I think I need to do 4 minus. But it should go up. That's right. When I get to my next wave, yeah, the spawn rate goes up, so they'll spawn a little bit faster. Another option might have been to make an enemy that spawns with 2 things. Yep, so the spawn rate gets faster each level. Oops. So we're just gonna go ham here real quick. I need enemies to be able to show up sort of like on the side. Ooh, that looks cool. I'm a little surprised. Let me see if I can get another one of those UFOs in here. The UFO seems too big. I thought I reduced its size. Yeah. I thought I changed that. But let's look at my spawner. Yeah, the spawn rate is going the way I want it to, but it's a little too fast, so it's actually it should be -1. So it starts at 1, so I'm going to set it to 0 at first. So the first level they spawn every 3 seconds. Okay, so let's look at why is my UFO spawning? Oh, I set the scale 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Can I do that? Is that just not allowed in prefabs? What's this thing here? Enabled constrained proportion. I don't know what that means. All right, let's see if my UFO spawns smaller now. So we're gonna come in here. I'm gonna make it spawn earlier so that I get them earlier just so I can see them in my wave controller. Let's set these to be part of the first wave. Wave 1. Should get a UFO. I think I should get it. Think I should get it, but I could be wrong. Went straight to wave 3. So there is some there. That's better. I want them to be small and hard to hit, but he's still hittable. You can still hit him. All right, cool. Excellent. I'm pretty happy with where I am right now. So I happened to add in, what were my bonus goals? I added in new enemy, enemy spawner. I want to add in a fire rate. So I need to slow down how fast you can shoot. So I only want you to be able to shoot every so often, and maybe make it so the weapon has a delay on it. Jaru over on YouTube. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Jaru over on YouTube. Welcome aboard. We are working on our Space Raider. This is a 2D shooter. I'm building a prototype here. So I want to learn. I'm trying to figure out how to make a 2D shooter and how to do it in a relatively simple way. I'm teaching an Intro to Unity class next term. And so this is my prototype to figure out what I don't know. But yeah, welcome aboard. Happy to have you here. What did I do? Oh, added UFO / rotation controller. Yeah, so we just got that added in here. We're gonna continue. I want to add in a fire rate on a weapon. All right, so our weapon has like a firing speed associated with it. So I think in my laser controller, I need to have, more than anything, it's, oh, my laser, here we go. Not just a laser here, I need to have something be like a weapon. Do I have a weapon controller? I don't think I have a weapon controller yet. Let's see. So I need a weapon controller. And the weapon controller is going to have like the thing it spawns and then the fire rate. So how fast the user can click to shoot it. Yeah. So that's the whole reason I'm streaming, is so that people can see the process. I have so many students that it's young students, people who are just starting out, get so frustrated because they see some finished product, some finished thing, and go like, how am I ever supposed to remember all of those things? How am I ever gonna know all of this stuff programming? And the real answer is you never will. You never will know everything. And so it's really nice to go through and just watch the process happen and see someone think through it and go like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Let me go look at the documentation. Let me Google something. So it's super useful in that regard. Okay, so in our weapon controller is gonna have a fire rate. And so this is gonna be how often we can fire this. Get private set. And we'll have a default fire rate of 0.5, so you can fire it every, twice a second. Let's make this serialized. All right, and then we're also going to have the public game object. This is going to be like laser template. So I don't know if laser template's the right thing, but this is going to be the game object that gets spawned into existence when we fire. So this is going to be the game object gets fired in when we actually do the fire. What else? I need like the last fire. So it's going to keep track of when it was last fired, so we know whether or not field, float, serialized field, the public float, last fired. And so last fired is 0. But the idea is when you go to fire, depending on what the time is, it's going to tell you, well, it's either going to fire or not fire. So last fired, fire rate, laser template. All right, so then we're going to have a method here. Yeah, public void instantiate. So I guess fire is really what it is. And we're gonna take in a transform that says spawn position. So this is going to be where the laser template gets spawned into, or like, yeah. So we're gonna spawn it in and then we're gonna move it to this position. So maybe this should be a vector 2. I always tend to use transforms. They're a little bit better because you can like grab them off the screen and add them to something. Rather than the vector 2, there isn't the like vector 2s. Game objects don't have those. So we're gonna instantiate. Cool, you're doing a Coding Academy course in C#. Awesome, awesome. Are you doing objects yet? Classes and objects, or are you doing static methods? I'm just curious. I'm gonna create a copy of our laser template. Bio tests over on. We got some people on YouTube. You can't see it, but we got a person on YouTube, Jaru, chatting with me. Yeah, so they are. Yeah, it's a little confusing. I stream on both. I usually don't get a whole lot of people watching live on YouTube, but I like having. Twitch doesn't save your streams, but YouTube will save them sort of indefinitely. So I stream to both, so that way I have like an archive that you can watch later. I should do something. I just haven't quite. I need to figure out the smart way. What I should do is have like some way to like merge them together. Yeah, the Twitch is where most people who watch me. People don't tend to watch on YouTube. Here, I'll send you a link to the Twitch. I think there's a link on my channel as well. But Twitch is where it's a little bit easier to chat. Laser temp. So this should be a game object laser. And then it's not that it's parent. Yeah. So then we're gonna do laser dot transform dot position is equal to spawn position dot position. So we sort of move it to that spot. I think that's all we do. But we first check, can we fire? So we say if last fired plus fire rate. So if enough time is that. So if the current time is greater than the it's less than last fired, we just return. We don't do anything. Jaru, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Twitch. Welcome aboard. Happy to have you here. And able to chat with the crew over here on Twitch. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I'm pretty new to Twitch. I've been aware of Twitch for a while, but I'm pretty new. Okay, so we have, and then we have to say that we last fired is equal to now. Okay, so this one stopped and it says if we're not allowed to fire yet, do nothing. Otherwise, and make a copy of this laser and put it in the right spot. And then we fire. So I think maybe this should be a vector 2D. I don't know. I like doing transform because it. Anyway, I think this is what I want to do. So now on our player controller, our weapon, and this is going to break a bunch of stuff, but our weapon becomes, it's no longer a laser, it is a weapon controller. Right. So it becomes a weapon controller. And I'm going to rename this to weapon. And that's going to break down here. Instead of instantiating it, if the fire button happens, we say weapon.fire weapon, laser, front laser spawn. Okay. All right, so we've sort of refactored that here. It's fun. I like doing it. It's like a, I like chatting. I like talking through what I'm doing. It's kind of addictive for me. I like, and then oftentimes I don't know how to do something. And I ask, hey, can someone do this? Or you have someone awesome like Biotest here who actively participates, makes icons and assets for you directly on stream. Tapa, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. You're welcome to lurk. But so happy to have you here with us. All right. Handle fire. And so now I need to make my... So that's going to break some stuff. And so now... Weapon controller... Yeah, so this needs to become a weapon controller now. Like that. And then I need to update my prefabs. So that broke my prefabs. I wish there was a way, and there probably is a way to do it, but you have to do like a Unity override. I wish there was an easy, straightforward way to get errors in Unity. So if anyone knows how to do this, when you change a script like this, I would like it to give me an error. Oh, it's because there isn't one of these on here, actually. Yeah, so this should be a weapon controller. We'll do a 0.5 fire rate, and... Oh, interesting. Interesting. So... Can I just do that weapon controller? If I add itself in there? This feels weird to me. This feels weird. So this is like the actual laser. And then we actually have like a weapon, an actual weapon, which is super interesting. So I wish I got an error when I modified this thing here. So I have a type mismatch. I wish this would yell at me in the editor the moment this happens. I need a weapon controller now. And so I kind of need... This is interesting. Weapon controller. Weapon. It's almost like weapon... This shouldn't be a weapon controller. It should end up actually be a serialized... Yeah, I think this should just actually be called a weapon. Because it's not a controller. It's like a weapon template. So that was this is an interesting realization I'm having here. This is going to break all kinds of stuff here for a second. This isn't a weapon controller. It's just a weapon. It's like we did with the enemy ship. There's sort of like an enemy ship. It's not a mono behavior. And it is... serializable. And so our weapon power-up has a weapon, and so this allows us to break everything. Hang on. Weapon. Let's do this. When I renamed it, it sort of like made this thing. Weapon. Instantiate does not exist, so it should be like Unity engine dot instantiate dot object dot instantiate. There we go. It's just object dot instantiate. Okay, so this is how we do it. I think so. Now in our default player. I think I got this. I just in my prefab here, if I go to my player's weapon, yeah, is gonna be this. This is the default weapon. All right, and so then in our power up, our spread shot power up, the weapon here is a spread shot. This is the template, and it has the same fire rate. Yeah, I think that will work. I think that will work. Let's see what happens. Can I still fire lasers is a question. I can. All right. But I can't fire super. So now I am delayed. So this makes it, those shots sort of matter. All right. I can't just spam it. Not crazy hard yet. All right. But they gotta count. All right. So spread shot is super OP still. And I think I'm gonna make it so that you have a limited amount of ammo. All right, get that. Oh, lost my shield trying to get a shield bonus. Okay. What'd be cool is to have like a toggle to switch between weapons too, so you can sort of collect the ammo. You might have a certain number of guns that you can collect. Okay, so my weapon type works. It's not a controller. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm really happy with that. Let's do a save. Let's save and commit. It's crazy you can make music with any sound going on Discord. You writing music with you made some music here? Let's check it out. Tipa, I do. My goal here, my plan. I just recently started making new videos. My plan though is to take this. This is my prototype. I'm building it up, figuring out how to make it. My plan is to make a class project for my students, and I'll be releasing several videos showing how to put these things together, and then sort of, you know, for the project itself, it's not going to have every tiny gritty detail, but it's going to show the basics of it, and then give you some challenges on like how to go out and build out from there. So look for this one. I'm assuming I'll have it done end of January, beginning of February, but I have another one that's coming out before that. Cool. But yeah, Tapa, so nice to have you here. Commit-m beat add weapon class. But I do have videos on there I did Advent of Code most recently. And then I'm teaching a class next term called Introduction. In addition to my Unity class, I'm going to be teaching a class called Introduction to Competitive Programming. So I've been putting together sort of walkthroughs on these challenge videos on coding challenges. So if you like coding challenges, you're trying to grow your coding skills just in general, not necessarily game development skills, you might enjoy those as well. And then I have the archive. If you want to watch past streams, all the past streams are sort of archived there, watching me make various things. All right, so I got my weapon. Let's add in a meter. So I wanted to add in a meter to measure how much shield I have. See if I can get that in there. And if I get all of that, that's essentially hits all of my goals here. All right, we got some real quick bio tests. Made some music for us. Let's check it out. Interesting. That one's just more of a sound effect. Girl snapping while hitting her head. Oh, that sounds brutal. We got a composer here in the chat. Thank you for sharing these. Yeah, I don't know how I wouldn't be able to write music with watching a stream for sure. That would be challenging to do. Oh, gotcha. That makes sense. So you added that as sort of like the sound effect. Gotcha. Cool, cool. Okay, let's keep going here. Yeah, I want to add in a meter for our shield. That sort of indicates. Oh snap! So this is a. Someone earlier said that's a boomer moment for me. So fascinating. I didn't even think that it was a Snapchat thing. That's funny. Sometimes I feel a little old. I'm not that old. I'm only 34. I'm not that old. Let's see here. In my UI, so on my canvas, I want to add in a meter for my shield. All right, so we're going to create an empty one here. Shield meter. Okay. And I want this to show up at the bottom of the screen, I think. And it'll sort of fill up. So if you have a shield, it'll show it there. And so it should be aligned on the bottom and stretch across. So let's make it full width real quick. And we'll pivot off the bottom there, 0. All right, so we have this thing on the bottom. And then I'll switch to be coming off the bottom here, and I'm going to move it up just a hair. Like that. Put it 50 from the bottom. Maybe just 20 from the bottom. We'll give it a height 50. 20, 30, I don't know. So the idea is there's going to be these little blocks that show up in there that show you your shield power. Let's have it stretch again, and we're going to say that I want padding on the left and right. So we'll do 50 on the right, 50 on the left, like that. And so then we're going to have this will have a horizontal layout group. The idea is I'm going to add in, and these will start in the center middle left and sort of expand right. How big is this thing? Have it centered in the bottom. We'll make it 250 wide, and then each of our nodes will be like 40, and it'll expand them out there nicely. So if I create an empty, I just want an image in there. So these should be 50 wide, I think. Not quite 50 wide. It's 45. The height would be 25. And we'll make it so that they're green. So this is our shield here. So as we get shields, these will just sort of like shield node. All right, so as you get shields, it just sort of fills up in there. And if we have the spacing set to 5, they just sort of space out there. So this is how much shield power you have. So it's our shield meter. Let's put these inside of, put this shield. So I want a label on top of it that says like shield out. Maybe I don't need a label there. All right, so the idea though is we have these shield nodes that sort of fill up in here as you go. Okay, so we're gonna add in our overlay a script called shield meter controller, and this thing just gonna observe our like player ship, and when the player ship gets stuff, we're gonna do stuff with it. All right, so in our shield meter controller, we have something. Let me think here. The shield meter fills up as you get things in it. So it's going to need a reference to the shield node, right? So I'm going to have these just sort of be deactivated by default. And as it's going to loop through and find the children and activate them depending on how much meter you have. All right, so we have a thing here, public void render. And this is going to take in a player controller, player. And the idea is we look at the player and we say, how much shield power do you have? All right, so we're going to say for int I equals 0, I less than the player's shield power, I plus plus. And one thing we might do here is we might need a max, say like, well, don't go over 5. Our shield power currently is clamped to 5, so it's okay. Less than 5 and. So I'm gonna put a little thing in here where I has to be less than. Okay, so we'll do int nodes is equal to math dot clamp math dot min of 5 or player dot shield power. All right, so if we have more shield power than that, it's gonna reduce it back down to 5. So we sort of say that we can never go more than 5. And then we're gonna say, do this once for each nodes. And in our transform, this dot transform dot child of I dot set active dot game object dot set active true. And before we do that, you need to set things to false. And really okay, all right, so here's how I'm gonna do it. We need to go through all of the children. We need to go through all of the children. And so we're gonna do game object node is equal to this thing here. Okay, so we go through all of our children. We know we have 5 of them. It's a little brittle. All right, instead for each transform child in this dot transform. So this will do a for each loop and says, look at all the things inside of me. All right, so now I'm not dependent on the number thing. If I decide to make more nodes, I can. So we go through each one and we say int, yeah, now I don't need this. Instead, I'm gonna do int nodes is equal to 0. And we'll do nodes plus plus. All right. Cloud test, exclamation point lurk. I need to add that to Nightbot. What should the message be for lurk? Child dot, all right, so we're gonna say if player dot shield power. Thanks for lurking. Hope we see you again. I like that idea. Don't forget about unlurk. I need lurk and unlurk. If our player shield power is greater than nodes, we need to stop, right? No. So if nodes is less than or equal to player dot shield power, we're gonna break. So this says, so if the shield power is 0, we do nothing. If the shield power is 1, we keep going. Yeah, and a little nodes plus plus. Yeah, Jaru, I've received some really good criticism. So one of the things that's really interesting is if you go all the way back to the first video here, it was like the first time I touched Unity in a while, and I couldn't really remember how to do things, and I'm trying to do things right. So I make mistakes. So it's actually probably not a bad idea to watch some of the early ones and see how I refactor and adjust the code. If you want to see the learning process, absolutely. But yeah, so we're gonna loop through all of our children, and then child.gameObject. We don't want to break here. This will be child.game field day .gameObject.set active false, else child.gameObject.set active true. Okay. So, and then we do nodes plus plus. And I can do a little trick here. Notice I have a condition and I'm doing a true or false thing on the inside of this. I can actually do set active. We're gonna set this node active if nodes is greater than player.shield. So if our shield power is 1, let's see here. Is this right? If player shield power is greater than nodes, we're going to turn it on. I think this will do it. I think this will do it. All right, so we have our shield meter controller. Like that. And our shield meter here, shield meter controller. Gonna add that in, and we need to register it on the player, but there's actually an event that says public void register player. All right, so there's a couple things we need to do here. So we have a player controller player, and this is just going to be player dot on change dot add listener render. Okay, so we need to be able to register player. So when the player ship spawns into existence, we add ourselves to it. Oh, we should also update though. So in addition to that, we need to call render. We're going to add a listener, but we're also going to go ahead and render for that player. So the idea is this like attaches us to that player. And kind of need to like unregister ourselves. So there's some trickiness here that I'm missing, but I think we'll be somewhat okay. We need sort of like an attach to player. All right. And we need to unattach ourselves from a previous player object if it exists. Yeah. So there's something here that's not quite right because I could attach to multiple players. I only want to be on one. And when I change who I'm attached to, so I'm actually, we attach player. Private player controller attached like this. And we say if attached is not equal to null. So if we previously were attached, we'll do attached equals player. Attached dot on change dot remove listener render. So we're going to remove ourselves from a previously attached one. So if it's not null, we're going to do that. And the event might, we're going to see if this works. I think there might be an exception thrown because the player gets destroyed, but we can only be attached to one player at a time is the idea. So we're going to change, we're saying that anything that we were attached before, we get rid of like that. Okay. So in our game controller, to get this to render on the screen, there's no on spawn. All right, so we need an on spawn. So when we spawn the player, our game controller needs to notify us. So in our game controller, we need a new event, game controller. And our game controller has a new event here that is on player spawn. Okay, so when we spawn a player, we need to be able to notify things about that. So then down here on spawn, if we spawn a player, we do that, and then we do on player spawn.invoke PC. So we can hand this off to anything. So anything that needs to observe a player being spawned can do so. So now in our game controller, I wish we could collapse these. That would be nice. So on player spawn, we're going to attach our shield meter. And when the player spawns, we attach to that player. All right. And that will automatically register us for when the player changes. And that should make our shield thing, our shield nodes show up. So a little bit more work there than I thought. I think it's going to work though. We're going to find out. So we start with no shields. Let's see if we can collect some shields here. A little harder than before. Oh. Come on. Oh, hard to hit him. There we go. Get that shield. Gotta get the shield. All right, we got the shield. Oh, it's not in a good spot. So I do need to move it up a little bit. Let's pause here and figure out where we want to move it. So our shield meter can also. That's interesting that they didn't move inside. Surprised they didn't move with it. I bet when I let go here, unpause. Yeah, it'll move. Maybe I want my shield meter to be on the like a stack rather than from left to right. It's a stack here that goes up and down. I think I'm gonna try that. All right, so my shield meter instead will be 250 tall, 50 wide, and instead of a horizontal group, we'll do a vertical group, and we'll align in the bottom center. All right, so as these turn on, they'll show up at the bottom. So it fills up that way. And we need to tell it to not expand and head to 5. Okay, so with this, we can move it over here. So this is gonna be our shield meter. All right, let us try that. All right, we're gonna try that one. And of course, by default, I need it so that these are turned off. And let's see how we do here. Insert a coin. Gotcha. Gotcha. See if I can get some more shields here. I think with the spread shot, I need to make it so that the fire rate's a little slower, because being able to spam it that fast is a little bit, maybe not. Getting a second spread shot doesn't matter. The spread shot is also increasing my shield here, which is not something that I realized it was doing. So let's go look at my power up for my spread shot. Not my spread shot, my power up. This is interesting. That it is giving us a shield power up as well. Go look at this. Well, I need to make it play the sound effect on collect as well. So I missed that sound effect. We're gonna play sound on collect. Why is this giving me shields? Because I am increasing the shield. There we go. Now it shouldn't give us a shield. All right, let's try again. Let's keep going. It's a beautiful day. And we have a system here for making a space game. With some sweet music. Oh, that was cool. The enemy laser. I didn't know the enemy lasers would destroy. I feel like they shouldn't. I think that was just a coincidence. It looked to me like the enemy All right. Can even make some enemies have a spread shot. Right. Feeling pretty good about this. Trying to get shields. The shields are, I guess, 12% of the time. You should get a shield, or something's gone terribly wrong, and we only get laser power-ups. Let's go look at my loot. Ugh, debugging. This is why you need to write unit tests. Unit tests would help me make sure that this wasn't the case. So my enemy here, my enemy ship, my loot table, should be able to get both, but according to the way I've designed it, I should, but no, this should get me a random power-up. I'm just getting unlucky, I think. Let's set this to 1. We should always get a drop now. And see. If we can. Oh. Okay, we can get a shield. Can I get... And it works. If I lose shield, it goes down. Give me a spread shot. There it is. Okay, I can get them both. I just was unlucky. And I shouldn't be able to go above 5. See if I can get some more here. It should limit me to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So it doesn't go above 5. Ooh. The little UFO there is horrifying. Oh, it is hard to hit. And they start building up. Okay. So it is starting to get a little bit spicy in here. But it feels like it's coming together. Wave 7. Okay, ooh. But having that shield really helps. Oh, and having all these power-ups just sort of come out super fast. All right, that feels good. That feels good. All right, let's save that. Absolutely. How much are you posting in there? So your girl, I would, yeah. If anything you send, I'll listen to it. Within reason. Yeah, just that one? Yeah, I'll listen to it off stream. Here, I'll listen to it. Well, we can all listen to it on stream right now. As long as it's appropriate, right? No, all right. So what did I do here? Chore. We, feet. Add shield meter to overlay. Nice. Nice work here, Bio. I'm loving it. Here it comes. Ooh, yeah. I like that build-up. Adding some tone, some pitch to the little sound effect there. Okay, so that I understand it now. So it might be, so I have a limiter on the stream on how much noise it'll allow through. So it limits it. So it might be just limiting it so you can't quite hear it all the way through. Because I don't want it to, when I'm talking and I have my music playing, I don't want it to, I want my voice to always be above the audio. So the audio has a limiter on it. So that's probably what you're hearing. That's the sound you got there. Got it. Now it makes sense. It makes more sense now. Really cool. Really cool. I love the creativity. So yeah, the distortion is probably coming because I have it limited. So if I pull over my OBS and we go into the void here, my music is limited to negative 40 decibels. And so it's probably capping out on the actual transmission on the stream. So I apologize if it's slightly degraded because of that. Back to lurk mode. I love it. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with what I have here. I think I might, let's see, did I get all of my bonus stuff done in my stand-up? Yeah. I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm really happy with the progress I made today. I think technically I'm gonna say that my prototype is done. So this is the last time I'll be streaming for a while, actually. I'm going on vacation starting tomorrow. I'll be back, I think, next Tuesday. So 6 days. Be back next Tuesday. But I think I'm sort of done with this prototype. My goal now is to turn it into a project, create a YouTube series on like how to build this, clean it up a bit. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. But thank you everyone for watching. I'm not sure what I'm going to be streaming next. I'll be doing more game development stuff, more Unity stuff. Probably a platformer. So I think for the class I'm teaching, there's essentially 3 quote-unquote projects I'm doing. The first project is like point-and-click RPG adventure. So we're going to be learning stuff, everything but not an update. So the first one is learning about Unity events and creating UI stuff. So no updates. It's not a public class, so it's a school. I work at a school that is it's an online school, middle school, 11 through 14. So I teach 11 through 14. I do in the summer I'll be offering some programs that I think I'm going to do as free. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it, but it probably have to be limited the number of people. But I'm going to be doing summer programs next summer for sure. I'm just not exactly sure how registration stuff will work, but those will almost certainly be free, and maybe some kind of paid thing for extra content. I don't know. I don't know exactly what that'll look like, but yeah. So I have a lot of plans. I don't know what I'll actually manage to accomplish, but this was great. This is wonderful. Jaru, it's so nice to meet you. I'm glad you came by. I'm glad you found us on Twitch, and that's awesome. Teaching is tough. I love teaching though. I'm just lucky that I get students that are super interested in my elective. So essentially I teach purely elective classes. No one is forced to take my class. But yeah, if anyone's lurking, don't forget to follow to get notified when I get back. I also have a Discord, so if you want to chat with me while I'm on vacation, can't promise I'll be too active on the Discord, but if you want to send me stuff, ask for help, there's people there that are always willing to help out, including myself. We'll do our best, but feel free to join the Discord. But yeah, I'll be back next Tuesday, so should be on the stream schedule. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing, but I think I will be doing a platformer next, although I might be doing something 3D. So it might be a 3D platformer. I know my students want to do something 3D and I haven't done it yet. But something with physics. It might just be like a simulator or something. But we're going to do a project with physics as the third project. First project's text-based point-and-click adventure with some stuff on the screen. Second project's going to be, I think, the Space Raiders with 2D, no physics, 2D, no physics. So learning a little bit about update, And then the third one is going to be learning about physics and fixed update things. So when you do stuff with physics, you need to use fixed update rather than update. So that's sort of like the course progression. It's 11 weeks. Can't get a ton done, so 3 projects. And then the goal is to have the project be open-ended enough. So like this is the base of it, and then students get like 2 weeks to customize it each time. Anyway, again, once again, thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for tuning in. It's been beautiful. It's been super fun hanging out with all of you. And I honestly can't wait to get back and keep streaming. But if you haven't yet subscribed to YouTube as well, that's where I'll be posting my tutorial videos. All right. Thanks again. As always, keep coding, keep growing, and have a beautiful day. You're welcome back anytime.